um, back in the day, you did not have channel points that you could gamble on, but in the present time, you can. So if you want to get rid of your channel points and put them all on the Dash Before Time 3, you can do that. If you are the person who put a measly 1,000 on royalty right now, if they were somehow to win, you would get more than double the return on your investment right there. The question is going to be, what is royalty going to do differently this time? They got swept by the Dash Before Time, even though they swept them last month in losers bracket 2-0. So a little bit of a rivalry back and forth between these two teams. We didn't see royalty use a lot of wiper / hammer in general in the last sets that we saw them play on stream against roulette. They used it a lot against the Dash against time, and it didn't really seem to work out that well. Are they just going to stick with Luna Blaster, especially on a map like this Splatstone's making?
I think Luna Blaster is the way to go because they were feeling very confident and very strong on almost every pick they did. But we will see here in not too long if that's what they go with. They might decide to choose a different weapon. They might decide to choose a different comp entirely because, like you said, they weren't really finding what worked against the Dash Before Time, the Freer. But who knows? We'll see here in a minute if they can pull off the victory or if they once again become the victims.
The Dash Before Time started off the day by losing their first game that they played, has since won every single one in a row. And no, you should not have a Broken's monitor. Those are the actual weapons they've been using throughout the time. Paintbrush, Dapple's Nouveau, Vanilla Tint with the Vacuum, and Range Blaster with the Killer Whale. It seems to be the kind of punch that no team really understands how to deal with, and there's Shay right off the bat mowing down some players with the Dapples, but a nice response early on by Royalty as they'll get the first control zone.
Yeah, Royalty played that really well. The thing that I was going to highlight about the Dash Before Time, oh my gosh, Dave! I was going to say that the Dash Before Time has been really good with their positions and been able to play off each other, but David just said you can't play off each other if you're dead, and now we're seeing the issue of the Zipcaster once again. If you go towards someone, they're going to try and kill you, and in this case they did. David trying to make something work, does get a kill outside of that vacuum somehow, and they're just continuing to try and make this push Top Gun. They're doing pretty well.
The Dash Before Time is not getting set up at all. It looked like they were going to after the initial push, but there's a Zuka taking care of two players. So now they're just struggling to get back into the zone, able to get one with the Paintbrush and flank around this left side with the Dapple player. And that is where Goober Dash is going to be living. They're going to have to be throwing a whole lot of flanks, a whole lot of distraction at the way so that they can open up the door for their Dapple players to get back into control of things. But Royalty's built up a massive lead, and here comes the hammer yet again, this time from the Luna Blaster and not from the Wiper. By the way, that is the Vanilla Stamper. I just said earlier in this tournament how we don't see that anymore. It randomly just showed up here.
It just decided to pop back up after 2 years of not being in the meta, but I will say, all they really have to do on the side of Royalty is keep the zone painted, if even halfway enough to where the timer will run out at the end of the day. If they let that happen while the Dash Before Time is not able to get zone, not able to even break down their penalty, like how they're doing right now, just getting kills and allowing for the Dash Before Time to have to back up, to have to not put all the resources onto that square, they're in good shape.
The Stamper player who's been using Slosher up to this point, able to get a couple of nice splats, working by themselves essentially, just taking 1v1 after 1v1 and using their kit to their advantage. But just when it seems like the Goober Before Time is able to find a way back into control of things, their Dapple's trying to get set up, they keep getting swatted and splatted away. There's a delayed wipeout and the penalties are gone. Is this going to be the first win for Royalty against this team so far today? Blush able to get one nice splat, staying alive up top here and laying down a whole heck of a lot of fire across the zone. That will do it. Game one goes with authority to Royalty.
Yeah, and I was telling Popgun before we got on here, this first game is going to decide a lot because, again, the Dash Before Time had a really decisive victory in the last set that they played against Royalty. If Royalty could come on top like how they just did now, that's going to put them in a really good spot for the rest of this set, which is still a best of 5. but it will at least enable them to have a crack at that bracket reset.
So the Dash Before Time has been sweeping their way through the tournament all day long. They had a bit of a break right there. It could be just a case of, all right, they slapped us around a little bit. Now we woke up. Now we can go out and play and get back to control of things. So they feel like they are the better team. One loss isn't going to rattle them. But they do have to do something they haven't done in about 3 hours, which is make a counter pick. And they are going to pick Rainmaker and Humpback Pump Track immediately and get into it.
That's a very interesting map because I feel like Luna Blaster still is a strong pick. They might have done this to counter that Stamper pick because, like you were saying, the Stamper was working really well against them, and they might be trying to bait Royalty into using a Slosher of some sort so they can at least get one more point.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to work out pretty well for Royalty as well, because, yeah, they can just go back to that Slosher. I would assume that Stamper is just Splat Zone's Mako dependent that they want to do, which Slosher works out great there as well. But I wonder if this is just more of a, for the Dash Before Time, let's activate our Dapples a little bit more. Let's open up some more lanes for them to flank around. The Dash Before Time is going to win when they can start attacking from all the different angles. Like, they have their tent going one way, their Dapples working on their own on the other one, the Paintbrush just cleaning up everybody. They just throw so many unique things at you that you're not used to seeing unless just some random solo queue comp gets thrown your way. So the longer the set goes on, that's only going to work into Royalty's advantage because they'll get to figure things out a little bit more. So yeah, if this is your, regardless of who you're going up against, if this is your specific best map and mode, maybe that is what the Dash Before Time is thinking of as we get started here in this game too. The question is, are we going to see any changes from the side of Royalty? There's the the Luna Blaster still. That is the 52 gal.
That is.
No changes coming out from the side of the Dash Before Time.
Yeah, this is looking like a very interesting comp. I think that 52 gal is used just to put a wall up against that tent. That would make sense to me, but I see now the reason why they chose this map is because of the tent. If you can get this first checkpoint broken like they're about to do, they might be able to. Nope, unfortunately getting taken down. Players on each side are, but Blush unfortunately getting hit by Tormy, and Tormy getting a second one. This actually puts them in a really good spot in Infa, already in that position for the tent to take advantage.
The good news for Royalty is they able to stop the Rainmaker, at least initially. Actually, no, all that good news just went out the window. There's 20 points remaining. It's a pretty good situation with all the specials being thrown down there. It's just the pencil left alive. No. GG's. If that was a solo queue game, they would not have even gotten a time points bonus out of that because it was under a minute in the KO. Good counter pick.
That was a really good counter pick. I mean, they had every single special to use against that. They used the back to cheese the first couple points on the Rainmaker after the pedestal, and then they use the Reef Slider to pop it instantly and take it just a little bit more, which ended up being all the way.
And talk about that Paintbrush player, Tormy, able to push all the way up in front of the Rainmaker and clear the way, getting the wipeout as part of a trade so that the doors were just open for that Rainmaker to push up. And it seemed like Royalty was very passive at the beginning. They didn't even try to pop the Rainmaker. It got popped in like the first 7 seconds by the Dash Before Time. They just went right in. They were the more aggressive team, and it seemed like Royalty wasn't ready for that amount of speed that was being thrown at them. But that is how the Dash Before Time, if they're going to win this tournament, that's going to be their MO. Constant aggression. Don't let the other team get set up like they did in Game 1. And, control the tempo.
Yeah, and I think what you said was perfectly right. With Royalty, I don't even think the person went in mid at the beginning there. That might have been the problem. They had no way to at least pressure the Dash Before Time advance. But we're going to see here in a minute on Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz. Maybe
these players have a date to get to. We're already on to the next game. So be it.
They got the entree out of the way, and now they're on to dessert here. It looks like we're going to be seeing pretty much the same thing come out. They said the Stanford worked last time, so I think it'll work this time. And to be fair, this is a pretty good Zipcaster map, so I understand.
making the counter pick exclusively so that they can get back to that Stamper. There must be some... what's so weird is they use Soda Slosher, or just Slosher in general, in the previous sets, but against the Tint, where Slosher works out pretty well in that matchup, they don't want to use it for some reason. But right now, things looking out pretty good for the dash before time. The Tint's pushed up in a great spot right here, starting to bully them. And they got the vacuum out as well. This is another special team's probably not used to going up against as they feed right into it, and it does take out one player, the Pencil, on top of that. Things are not looking good for Royalty right now.
Yeah, but if you're the dash before time, you don't have any clams. You finally have a power clam, but that's just 80 points that are left. And they have one more, or at least they had one more pity clam or some kind of just normal clam that didn't actually get thrown in the basket. So really, this push is just wasting time. That's all it's doing, Pop Gun.
2 players down from the side of the dash before time as Blush is going to pick up the Mercy Clam very early. I think that was a little bit of a mistake on their part. That's the only clam they really have right now, and they have nowhere to go with it because here comes the Tint and here comes the Dapples. They're making sure they move in very quickly. They're not going to be patient. They're going to just fire everything in there. 2 players going down. Now it's just the Tint, though. Infa's the last player left alive, and it's the other players that are jumping out from the side of Royalty. Here comes the Hammer trying to get one splat. Does have 2 more that were available to them as the players jump into the Tint. But things seem to have finally settled down. But watch how this Dapple player moves. They're basically by themselves, but they're going to probably keep the aggression up and just go after everything that moves.
And that's exactly what they did. They didn't get the kill on David. They pushed him back far enough to where he's only able to use that Zuka all the way from his base. I'm seeing a lot of really good plays and a lot of really aggressive plays on the side of the dash before time, which is what has really been working for them this entire tournament. Infa able to see David at the last available second, does get the kill, and the Leaf coming in clutch. Someone got ran over, it looks like. Infa going back after giving up some clams to pick, the final clam being given over. We're going to see a bit of a better push go on the side of the dash before time.
Well, you spend so much time in your enemy's face, eventually the clams are going to land into your favor. We talk about clam blitz all the time, how everything has to line up. Well, you keep making the right play, eventually things will work out into your favor. That is a delayed wipeout. All of a sudden, the Hammer finally works, coming out from the Luna Blaster, and we'll see, can Royalty do something on the back? Blush just going for it, somehow gets it in there and survives, and they're just a few clams away from getting the lead. Here comes David, moving around, takes the lead. How are they going to end this push, though? Blush, being the last player left alive, is going to back up, and you better believe the dash before time is going to dash right after that player, getting the Tint set up immediately into this right area with the backing to work with as well. How is Royalty going to respond to this counter push?
They've got to use specials. They're not close to any of them, so I guess just use some bombs right now. I will say that Hammer that came out really just came out of nowhere. If they can do, it seems like they're doing pretty well using the bombs. That Tent is their only issue. If they can get that taken care of like how they've been doing the past minute or so, then really they have open ground to shoot the opposing players, and they don't have anything big that's going to tank a lot of the damage that they dish out.
The dash before time. The question is going to be, how do they respond now that they've been losing? They've been the more aggressive team regardless of who's got the lead so far, but can they find a way to hold off this defense? It seems like the doors have finally worked into Royalty's favors. They pop the basket yet again, penalty points gone. Here comes the Luna Blaster trying to hold on to things. 3 more clams trying to be thrown up top there. They're trying to get the KO. It looks like they're not going to throw any points on top of it. Oh, now you just got a whole bunch of orange players dive bombing into their deaths right there. A couple more backing off, but this is a great opportunity for the dash before time to make another counter push.
Yeah, the only thing good about that dive for the push on the side of Royalty was they had cooler, so they were able to come back pretty quickly. But that was really the only thing. David coming in clutch, at least getting 1 kill, not able to get the second, but somebody on their team did come up on the kill, get another one, and Torm's just kind of sharp here. I don't think any of the players on the side of Royalty know that they're here. Okay, never mind. They definitely know with those bombs.
Somebody looked at the stream and was like, oh, wait a minute, there's a brush out there. If that brush was able to shark away from all that, they might be GG right there because they get behind and blow the doors open. So nice find and force that player to jump back, but we are in overtime with one clam that is ready to be thrown at the basket. Reef Slider is going to open up the door, but they need to get some splats on top of it. But there they are! 3 going down! It's just the Stamper left alive, and they're activating Zipcaster to try to cause some distraction for the rest of their teammates to come back in. There's just a few more power clams that they need to throw in there. Where did that hammer come from? 2 more going down, and Shay's going to be jumping into all kinds of madness. That is a wipeout. Somehow, Royalty hangs on and wins game 3.
That was huge. Again, the hammer just comes out of nowhere at the perfect time to stop those pushes. And honestly, Royalty, I thought they were done for a second with the way that they started going down. I didn't agree with the Zipcaster play until they recalled back and they were able to eliminate that shield that the Tenbrella put up. Infa didn't really have much to do after the shield was gone. And so I think that's what allowed Royalty to come back in numbers and with that hammer magically basically saving the game.
If you are Royalty and you want to win this tournament, obviously you got to force the bracket reset. You got a lot longer of a path to victory than the Dash Before time does at this current time. You got to be feeling pretty good about how that game was won, because the Dash Before time was bullying them for like the first 3 minutes. Like they were just setting up shop into the enemy base. They were using the tent extremely well and doing pretty much whatever they wanted. While they waited for the clams to ultimately spawn into their favor. They were still able to break out of what seemed like too much of a chokehold to break out of, and found a way to get a lead and hold on to that lead, which is something they weren't even close to doing in the previous set against this team. So it seems like the more wins they get, the more confidence they're going to get over the course of this set. And that is not good news for the Dash Before time, who would love to end this tournament before it gets to a bracket reset. Also not good news for everyone in chat, who is about to lose a whole heck of a lot of channel points if they don't clutch this one out in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I think it's only fair if they end up losing all those points. Everyone has to vote for the opposite team in the bracket reset, just so everyone has a chance at getting back to what they had. But our counter pick here is going to be Tower Control, Ship Shape, Cargo. And so, interesting pick on the side of the Dash Before time, because I personally don't think that Tent's that great on Tower Control, but it's really good on Ship Shape. So I guess they're fighting one evil with another. Popcorn, what are you seeing out of this that I might not be seeing either?
Well, the Dash Before time can't pick Rainmaker because they've won on that mode. So what is the closest thing to Rainmaker? How about Tower Control at Ship Shape? Just extremely fast, extremely snowbally. Now let's try to get this huge lead and try to get the KO early. Maybe that's what they're thinking with this Tower Control pick. But yeah, I mean, kind of to your point, I don't really want to fight a blaster on Tower Control in general, but there's only so much you can do up to this point here. The tint seems to have been working out regardless. And I mean, if you're going to use vanilla tint of all things, you got to have some skill with that thing regardless, where you're just like, yeah, this might not be the best, but I'm a different kind of animal on this thing. And also Dapples could be something they're thinking of as well. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see any comp changes coming out from the Dash Before time, because what you see is what you're going to get. Plus, they have Range Blaster as well, which works out obviously really well in Tower Control as well. So, but the game plan is going to be the same. Keep the aggression up, keep the fight on the enemy side of the map. This time they don't have to wait for clams to spawn. They can just push the tower and get it done that way.
Yeah, and one thing that I do want to point out, Royalty, I think, started to figure out, hey, if we send someone on the side flanking that tent, we might actually have a better chance at getting the kill onto the tent player, or at least ratting them away from that shield. And
we do have a change. The Dapple players are molding in chat as they are going to the quick respawn Tetras. Still keeping the Reef Slider though, but you get 2 more rolls as opposed to the only 2 that you can get out of the Dapples. The Shay starting to push up immediately, already in the enemy side of the map. And well, if you like cooler, here's a weapon that doesn't need it. It just kind of comes with it from standard.
Yeah, I mean, the whole concept of Tetris is you're probably going to die. You're probably going to die a lot. And so you wear a quick respawn and you don't get a trade, hey, cool, you're back already. And that's what we're going to see here in a second. And like you're saying, we're seeing a very dominant push here in the first minute of the game again.
And it's ship-shaped tower control, so there is no such thing as a lead as long as the clock is still ticking. But still, first checkpoint gone, and not going to get to the second one. Tormy staying alive, providing some jumps for their teammates, making sure that they don't get established on that right little tower area so that they can defend that second checkpoint. However, Blush is right there to clean up. So, yes, 31 on your opening push. Anywhere else is like, okay, this is just GG, we just got to defend. But on a map like this, it's really nothing.
Yeah, especially when they didn't break that third checkpoint, which would be arguably the breaking point of the whole match. We're seeing a lot of players, though, on this side of Royalty go down here or there. Actually, they're doing pretty well right now. The dash before time getting taken out twice by different players. The hammer coming out again, causing a wipeout. This actually gives Royalty the chance that they need to get close to that lead, or more importantly, get close to the knockout.
The checkpoint is clear. That's the most important thing for Royalty right now, but the dash before time needs to shut down this push before it can get a lot more momentum behind it. Tormy doing a good job of cleaning up some players as it's just a 2v2 right now. No, you are not going to use Zipcast anymore, and they hold control of the lead, but still 2 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. Tormy doing how is Tormy still on this run right here? This is like a -4 run they've been on, and they haven't been splatted yet.
Yeah, I think they were hiding. Unfortunate. They were hiding for a second until they were found, which, I mean, I guess that's how hide and seek goes. Another player getting found on the side of the dash before time, but Info finally getting the pick, and 2 more players coming back in. We're seeing Tetra really die a lot, but I don't see a lot of attention being pulled by them. That's the big thing that they need to be able to do, because if they're going to die a lot, they need to at least get one dude to look at them long enough for the rest of their team to get in. We're seeing a bunch of specials come out, 3 go down, all at the same time by different people. The last person getting taken out, and we're going to be see / semicolon, at least set up on the left side, might be ready for a hammer time.
It seems like the play is when they use the vacuum, that's when we Zipcast, because the vacuum can't stop the Zipcast, and they're kind of a sitting duck. You can't really move a whole heck of a lot with that vacuum, so that seems to be the play that they're going with right now to try to counter Infa, who's doing a good job of blocking things out. But regardless, the dash before time, like the last game, has a pretty decent lead up to this point with 1:30 left to go. Still, both teams have not found a way to get to that last checkpoint, but they're attempting to do so right here. Defensively, Shay trying to try to break through. They do have this reslider ready to go, and there might be a reslider going right towards this pencil in a second. Although the pencil does move, gets the nice pick on David, but it's the Luna Blaster right there to clean it up. But while all this is going on, the tower's just kind of floating around on the Royalty side of the map, and time is ticking away, so we're now under 1 minute.
Yeah, and with that minute left, the Royalty really has to do a lot. They not only have to get the tower out of their base, they have to get 1 or 2 picks. They do try to find one. Unfortunately, David not able to. Stays alive a little bit, and 2 players on their side are actually going to go down. So the tables have turned for them. Pick, trying to stay alive from that Zipcaster, does, and the Zipcaster is going to go all the way back as Royalty's in a really tough spot with no specials available.
35 seconds left to go. Now it's been a long time since Royalty has pushed the tower into the enemy side of the map, but they know they only need 1 opportunity to get the lead. They don't even have to get to that final checkpoint. This would be a great opportunity for the dash before time to add to their lead if they can find a way to break out of this stalemate. Here comes the sword, slashing its way through the vacuum. Turns out a sword can beat a vacuum cleaner and pick off everybody else on top of it. And this is the one opportunity that Royalty's been looking for. If they get the lead here, it will reset the bracket. If not, we're going to a game 5. Blush trying to stay alive on the tower. The Luna Blaster gets eliminated immediately, and that might be the end of it. There goes the Tetra and the player on the tower as well. The defense holds. The dash before time 3 forces a game 5.
Yeah, that was a very strong performance on the defense there. Yeah, they might have gotten a wipeout, but they did a good job at collecting themselves on the respawn, not getting too far ahead. And actually, what really sealed the deal there was when they killed that Luna Blaster that was trying to hammer in. I think the Luna was trying to get info early so they wouldn't have to worry about the shield, but that type of tunnel vision can get you killed easily, especially when the whole other team is being safe and waiting for the tower to travel to that final destination.
And now, we've had some very fast counter picks here coming out from both teams. They want to get this set going and done with. Here's the scenario. If the Dash Before Time wins this Game 5, the tournament is over, they're the champions, and they are banned forever, and they get a nice little rotating badge for their send-out profile. If Royalty wins this one, we're playing more Splatoon for probably another 30 minutes. So, a lot on the line out here. It is so deflating as the team that is one game away from winning the tournament. If you were to lose right here, and then you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, we have to do this all over again, versus the other team that's like, yes, we get to play more Splatoon, and we're still alive to win this one. So this essentially could be the pseudo tournament championship match right here, because coming back from a Game 5 loss like this would be very difficult for the Dash Before Time. This would be an opportunity where let's just win it and get it over with. The counter pick is going to be coming out from Royalty. They can't pick Splat Zones. They can't go to Mako Mart. And they can't pick Clam Blitz. So, and they also can't go to Scorch Gorge. So they couldn't do like Rainmaker Scorch Gorge. It looks like they're going to go with Tower Control Art Academy. The mode they just lost on, but a different map. A much different Tower Control map.
But we will say that they played that really well the last time in the losers finals. They pretty much dominated the entire match. So I think they're going to try and do the same thing here. I don't know. I think Tower Control, they realize that it's not really the greatest tent map, and so they might be trying to counter Infa in that way. They just have to make sure that Infa doesn't get in on the left side, or their right side really, and get into bats, because if that happens, it's going to be really hard to get them out of bats.
Yeah, and obviously this is going to be a completely different comp from what we've seen earlier on Tower Control Art Academy with the double splatling and the pencil. This is you're not going to have such free reign. You're going to have to be. It's almost like you're going to have to be the more defensive team with the aggression coming out there. I think they're going to go back to Dapples. I think the Tetris was just like, that map is just so long that we need a little bit more slide, a little bit more range. Still keeping the Reef Slider though, so I think we're going to go back to the Dapples on the side of the Dash Before Time, and I think that might be the only change, but a little bit of time was taken. All these counter picks were coming out like immediately with players readying up their weapons here. This time around, Royalty took a little bit more time to make their pick, and they're taking a little bit more time to decide what their loadout is going to be. So could there be something completely different that they're throwing here? Are we going to keep seeing the Stamper? Are they going to finally bring out that Slosher? Are they going to go back to the Wiper? A lot of choices here in this potential tournament-ending match right now. We don't see... Nope, still keeping the Range Blast, or the Luna Blaster in the Stamper, and obviously nothing really surprising coming out from the side of the Dash Before Time.
Yeah, and if you're Royalty, I think the reason they took so long to make the decision, and maybe even to ready up, was because the nerves are there. If they lose this, they're out, and so they have to win this. They have to come up on top, and we're seeing right now that they're not. Even in a team fight, 3 of them go down, the last player backing up successfully and staying alive. Even now, the cooler comes out, I believe, and we're going to be seeing a lot of players trying to make way. Che does get a kill, and that Reef Slider might come up clutch. Doesn't find anyone, but does give access to the base. Oh my gosh, Popcorn, this is looking pretty dominant.
I think we're done here. I think Shay has just called game. I think Shay might have just called game. They went all the way to the enemy spawn in 40 seconds. 2 checkpoints gone basically for free. You got players out of position, scrambling to just get anywhere there. There's going to be an exploding vacuum by the time you get on top of that tower. The 3rd checkpoint's in danger of getting erased immediately as well. 2 more players going down for the Chase Before Time. Can they even hold on to this? A wipeout with 7 remaining. They're still alive in it, but 1 minute they scored 93 points and now how do you respond if you're the dash before time? You've got to keep the aggression up, right? You can't turtle up and wait for Royalty to get back into this one. But man, what a mountain to climb.
Yeah, they're on their last legs now. They've got to make it all the way in order to win this. Royalty does have some good picks already on the board. Gets another one. It's going to be a little bit of a stagger. Cheon, though, is going to be on the flank. Sharp just long enough to get the pick to stall tower. Not much else came from that, but it gave the rest of the dash before time to get back into the tower with some specials, and no other players are really going down. It's just a bunch of explosions everywhere.
If you're Royalty, you got to use this whole 3 minutes to get back into this one checkpoint at a time. They cleared the first one, and that seems to be all they're going to be doing. If you are the dash before time, bleed out that clock. Keep the tower on the enemy side of the map, just like you did on the ship shake right now. But so many vacuums are getting popped here by Infa, and they just seems to be doing a good job of absorbing the Zuka shots, and now starting to push up and making sure nobody's in the way. The same question we asked before. Can the tower even be stopped at this point? The Luna Blaster's just going to have to make a dive for it as the clock ticks down. The dash before time fights it out on the tower, and they will not. They will.
Okay.
They will finally win low ink.
They definitely were toying there at the end. I think everyone being desperate on tower. The only player that wasn't was Tormy, playing that smart, waiting for someone to come up victorious and just third partying that for the victory. They did that really well. I think the final deciding factor in that match was whenever Royalty went 3 down for a second time, and they couldn't get momentum after that.
The game was over as soon as it started. I mean, as soon as Shay got all the way up there, that was GG at that point. It's credit to the dash before time that they were able to get into those right positions. They were the more aggressive team, and it's really hard to defeat them when you can't keep them all right in front of you, when you have to splat all these players coming across all these different angles, and as soon as you step out of spawn, there's already a Dapples firing at you. But Royalty, doubling down on the tower control, didn't really seem to have a good opening, and it cost them the entire tournament at that point. They're taking second place for the second month in a row. The dash before time 3, the time of the great Goober. Many predicted they would get it done. It wasn't easy, but they able to clutch it out at the end.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's easy or not. What matters